We have some black cobra venom on hand. Meet Sad Guru. He's about to consume a poison of a black cobra. You're undoubtedly wondering, silly man, why take such a risk? Well, watch the video until the end and you'll be aware of its danger. Hello and welcome to KYC News. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. There are only thought to be roughly 600 venomous snake species on the planet. Despite the fact that there are more non-toxic snakes, 220 to 380 fatalities primarily from snake bites each day. Owing to the degree of medical care shortage and the poison's venom for the royal cobra, 7 milliliters is sufficient to kill a person. It's quite approximately this much. It's hard to imagine that a tiny little drop of poison can be fatal. Following the bite, you'll have cramps. And after 15 minutes, paralysis if you come into contact with the bears of Taiwan. Further severe repercussions. The most lethal land snake is this one. 180 times more poisonous than snake venom, similar to a cobra. A taipan's deadly rays can kill 100 people. Poison or 250,000 mice. The poison is highly effective. Simply the hemotoxin that is present in taipanese toxin interferes with the coagulation of the blood. Your bleeding begins, however. The process continues because as your blood changes there is only one potential state, jelly-like outcome, yet a swift and horrible demise. Snake. You do not have to consume poison to worry you with blood. Certain snake species can spit at you, and this is significantly riskier than it might appear at first glance. A black cobra can strike a target. Even at a 3-meter distance, you might not even be aware of that there is a danger to you, when the good news is spit in your face. Despite the fact that cobra poison is toxic, it just results in irritation and blisters. Nothing major will hurt for a while, but that's all. Simply avoid scratching it. Hey, I said, don't scratch it. Yes, I'm all right. Hey, is it just me, or is this place scratchy? Unpleasant news is also present if a black cobra stings you in the eyes. If you don't, it could permanently blind you. During a specific time frame, get the eye cleansed. Length of time you finished and are now just Nick Fury. Featuring 2 eye patches. In light of all of this, it could appear that snakes ought to be the most expensive meat. When you can slay a person in a swiftly, painfully by yourself, you're quite cool, but there are also animals. Honey, deadly snakes are not as cool. Badgers, for instance. Music, this amazing animal doesn't give a damn concerning anything whatsoever. He eats if he is hungry or if he chooses to attack a person. He attacks regardless of the situation. You are a tiny badger, and your adversary is a horse or lion. The primary item in the snakes make up the majority of the honey badger's diet, and nature has provided for this reason. The resistance of honey badgers to snake venom. Sadly, humans are not immune, yet sadly, Guru is not a honey badger. At least he does not appear to be a honey. Why did nothing happen to the badger? Just look at him, he appears to be drinking. Snake poison is a completely common thing. What to do if you give it some thought, you can comprehend. In fact, it's not all that odd. You've probably seen examples of how in movies, characters slurp up the poison, a person's injury, and avoid becoming poisoned. But why precisely does snake venom not work? Murder people because it's after entering the mouth, comprised primarily of protein, which is the protein enters the stomach. It is just once ingested. It is difficult to define as healthy meal, but it's also not all that horrible. This is not an endorsement for drinking snake venom. Without being concerned, you shouldn't carry it out on a real person. Might have mouth or stomach injuries, something they are unaware of due to these minute wounds. The poison can permeate the blood invisibly and bring on seizures, paralysis, and an instant, but you can never plan for a horrible death. Certain that you can endure such an experiment. Therefore, what is the resolution? You remove snakebite poison by sucking it out. Or not, it's not working any more difficult. In a 1980s military survival manual, it's been stated that if a snake bites, you should make an incision in the area and suction within an hour. Poison soldiers ought to be better educated, right? There have been numerous studies, sir, or not, on this subject, all of which assert that taking the poison out is not the only way to unnecessary and even harmful according to the World Health Organization. Similar, then why are there so many divergent views? Do doctors and military possess any secrets? Data and withhold it from us. Actually, you should suck out and could. After the bite, the poison, but only in 10 or 15 first seconds. Who would recall this immediately after getting bitten, which you'll probably do, panicking and yelling? But what occurs if you attempt to suck the poison thereafter, for instance, 5 or 30 minutes? Let's start by saying it won't be of assistance because the blood is already dispersed the poisons throughout the body. Additionally, these acts can provide you with a sense of illusory security. After all, if you believe you've lost, you have nothing to fear from the toxin. Oh, I don't know, I'm not feeling well. But maybe you won't ever have to inquire of yourself whether to take the venom or not, such as in the US, your mortality risk is 9 times higher. Rather than from a lightning strike toxic snake bite. Also, if you are struck by lightning, you don't need to swallow anything. Even though snake poison can be dangerous, some people are drawn to it strongly. Similar to an extreme interest, rather than skydiving, people favor snakes with pointed teeth and substances that can make you travel to another world. Let us remind you to not try, just in case. Such as at home or anywhere else, for that matter. Leave the hazardous experiments to the matter professionals, including Steve Ludwig. Good day. A rock musician by the name of Steve Ludwig wrote music for Ash and played the Reading along with a placebo. His second festival with Nirvana pastime was tours and recording sessions. He experimented with snake venom a lot. Without having the necessary degree, Steve has shot swallowing and rubbing poison from certain snakes into his flesh. Of the 30 deadliest snakes in the world, Steve keeps performing experiments on himself. Even today, he did it initially in October 1988, and however adore snake, Steve received multiple snake bites. From cobras to vipers, and once he nearly got bit, he lost his arm and ended up in the hospital. Hazardous substance toxicity in excess. Although he later regained his composure and carried on, Steve is convinced that his body has changed over time, developed resistance to even the harmful venom, and started to enjoy what was going on, the painful combination, and he enjoys the rush of excitement. Furthermore, let's be honest, this isn't at all typical. It nearly seems like he's a drug user. However, Steve's obsession with poison is not useless, as opposed to the fact that he could future assistance to those. Copenhagen-based researchers are already examining the blood's antibodies against create more effective countermeasures. Typically, antidotes are created via horses, many of which perish naturally during the procedure. This is awful, yet this is how medicine has managed to working for the past 100 years. Steve thinks he can make a difference and is prepared to act. Many ways to assist, so if you're keeping an eye on, you most likely don't want to approach a serpent. Is too risky now and terrifying. Yes, they'll bite you before you realize it, or hurl poison your way, bringing you excruciating pain. Doesn't sound right. Lovely, I see. However, if you choose to avoid, you should avoid snakes as much as possible. Avoid doing this. We should include the island as well. That the Ilha de Caimada is closed to visitors 33 kilometers away from the biggest beaches of São State in Brazil, Paulo. Even if you intend to get there and confront your so-called greatest fears, it can seem like a possibility, but you won't. A typical island with rocks, and although it is home to rainforests, an exceedingly uncommon viper referred to as the coveted several thousands of lanceheads, and they are present here. Upon reaching the shore, about every 10 snakes will be seen. About 15 minutes more frequently than not, you'll observe them in teams. As you can see, this situation would be a nightmare. A person who suffers with phytophobia or aberrant snake phobia and the terrifying golden satellites, not just on paper, with just one bite, they can endanger life. There are numerous myths that describe how on the island, snakes suddenly appeared. A rumor claims that pirates once found the island after landing there to bury their plunder among the rocks. But they weren't prepared to just give up. So that the pirates may liberate their loot, a few snakes to guard the island, their gold from outsiders. What might vanish they believed, but in the end the snakes hatched, and another that covered the entire island. The island's history is described in legend. Keeper of the lighthouse and his family at night, when everyone was fast asleep, numerous snakes entered their room. Via means of the windows, the lighthouse keeper, who was terrified, and his family members escaped to the closest forest in terror. However, they all suffered snake attacks. Died that evening. The military later, in severe anguish, reached the island and discovered their corpses from the era. According to the lighthouse of Aldecama de Grande, had renovations and activated automatic mode. By the way, the lighthouse is real. It was actually renovated there. The military isn't prepared, therefore why now tell the truth about it? Therefore, what is the actual history of the truth is that the most unique and the world's deadliest snake was stuck on the island. When the ocean comes and level grew, the snakes adapted to their new environment rapidly. Habitat, and they multiplied quickly. Prior to them occupying all currently accessible area is approximately 4,000. There are dangerous animals on the island. Venom produces a variety of symptoms, including kidney disease, muscle necrosis, brain bleeding, and an unsettling internal hemorrhage. Brazilian Navy blocked the potential in the 1920s access to the island to keep people away from the snakes, and only the folks protected from snakes. Military personnel and some scientists who have received special permission can also be obtained there. A death occurs no if they consume snake venom, but yes, if they possess some internal injuries, then certainly avoiding is preferable. Thank you for watching and see you on next video.